and welcome to Don't Blame Me. This is an advice podcast where you guys call in with questions you have about your life, situations that you're dealing with, and we give you advice. We're giving advice on awkward situations, family, sex, trauma, dating, relationships, doing the nasty, anything weird and in between. And remember, we are always giving our advice from our own personal experiences. We are not professionals. We are not experts. We are just your best friends, your hoes, your bitches, your squad, the friends who are probably going to give you the advice that maybe is not what your therapist would say, but is definitely the advice you should hear. We're all about tough love. We're not sugarcoating anything. And we're talking to you like we talk to our best friends. And I am your host, Meghan Rienks, and I'm joined by my co-host and producer, the fantastic, marvelous, superwoman, Melisa Monts.
Hello. I love that intro. That was dynamite. Fantastic. Wow. Wonderful. I feel all the same things about you too.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy that we're friends.
Me and
too. I mean that like from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, I would die. Like I don't know what I would do. Like what did I do before you?
I don't know.
Miserable.
What is life?
Truly. If anybody like needs a pump up too before you go like box or like work out, like we were talking about this last night, right? Like later at night, I literally was like, I could do 100 push-ups right now.
Oh,
like
no, we did not talk about this. Oh wait, I don't know who you were talking to.
Oh, I thought you said the mailman, the mail.
Yeah, I thought you meant the like 100 push-ups. Like you told me that.
Oh, no. Okay, that's just how I was like livid for you. Like I was like this. Please take it away.
So I have a business mailbox because, the government requires you to have a business address, even though, most things are virtual now. So the last time I went was 3 months ago when I had to renew my box. And so, I had to renew it again. Haven't been since because I've been getting all my mail forwarded here at my apartment. So because I don't want to go and be around germs. So yesterday I had to go renew it. I almost forgot that I needed to do it. And I'm walking to the door. They have, the little patches outside, like to stand and wait in case there's too many people in. And I looked inside and I was like, oh, there's not that many people in. But then a man who was also a patron of the mail place, because it's not the post office. I don't want to shit on the post office.
We love the post office.
Yes, we love the post office. A man that was also a patron of the mail place. He opened the door for me, and he had a mask on the lower part of his face and not over his nose. And even if he had one over his nose, my response to him would have been the same thing. And so he opens the door and I was like, no, go ahead. And he said, no, I'm holding the door for you. And I was like, no, I'm trying to keep 6 feet. Please go ahead. And he said, I don't care about that. And I said, well, I care. Please go ahead. And he gets like all huffy and puffy and then pushes his way outside the door. And he's like, this is why you can't do anything for bitches. I was just trying to hold the door open. It took everything in me not to turn around and clock this dude. Also, he was like 6'5" and huge, like big. But so like, it's not like I could. So, I go in, renew my box, and I come back outside. And I don't think I told you this part, but he was sitting in his car with like 3 other dudes. None of them had masks on. He was just like looking at me when I came out. And I just like glared at him because I'm not going to back down from some dipshit. So I don't know if he was like waiting for me to come out or he was just sitting in the car. But either way, he was trying to intimidate me. And so fuck toxic trash men and fuck this pandemic. Like, why?
It's literally bringing out like what is inside of people into a terrible, terrible way. Like to a terrible extent. Like absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
If you would like to be on an episode of Don't Blame Me, please give us a call and leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. You have to be 18 or older or with your parents' permission before you leave us a voicemail. Make sure it's nice, clear, and concise, under 3 minutes. And our pro tip is, write it down and then read it. Make sure it's all nice and great. If you're not a Virgo, embody what it would be like to be a Virgo calling into the show. Before we get into our first call, guys, we have an update from a caller on a previous episode, and she is here right now. Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
And you guys aren't seeing the video, and we already addressed this like with each other, but I just feel like the audience should know that she is sitting in her car.
Yes.
So
it
it's
is
on brand.
On brand. We appreciate it, but she's not driving, so we do not have passing car noises.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you. This is
Thank
how,
you.
if you're going to be in your car, this is how you should do it. Also, the car gives great acoustics. So
Yeah.
Great job.
And also don't do it near, remember that one call where there was just like livestock in the background?
Oh,
like,
yeah. I was like, is that a cow?
Yeah, like,
That would have
don't do
literally
it.
been me if I was at my house right now. So.
See, look at you. You're thinking ahead. You're like in the car, but sans livestock.
So the original call was in season 6, episode 10. And caller, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the original call was?
Okay, yeah. So it was just basically my fiance we got drunk and I asked what he would like me to do, and he said that he would really like it if I could talk about previous sex stories with other partners that I've had. And I'm really shy and like come from a religious house where that's like bad. So I didn't know how to do that, but I wanted to. Okay. So far we've just kind of like he works on the road, so he works long distance. So we kind of just incorporated it into our texting every once in a while. It's still like a little bit uncomfortable and odd for me, but we've tried to do it that way before we like try to do it in person, and that seems to be working.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, it's like a little warm up, a little tease.
Yeah.
And it's in writing too, so you can edit yourself.
And like if you feel awkward, like there are sometimes when you send a sex, and like there are times like, you know, you're like really into it, and there are other times you're just like, oh, and like this is so cringy, and you like get to do that. You like can't make that face in person by being like,
I know, I'm like sitting in my bed and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah. No, but that's so much better that way. And then like, you know, ease into it, warm up to it. Do you like it at all, or is it more like this is for you, homie?
I mean, I don't hate it, but I think it's more just like it being uncomfortable. Not really that I'm just not used to it. I think if I can like get more comfortable, I would be into it. But
would you be into it if he said like his previous sex experiences like to you?
I don't think so. Actually, that's a lie. I wouldn't.
Oh, no, 100%. Like, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I would actually be into it.
Yeah, fucking Aquarius, your chill ass. What's your sign, by the way?
Like, I'm an Aquarius, actually.
Oh. Okay. Wow. Yeah, no, I could never. I could do it. Like, I could totally be like, yeah, this one time fucking getting railed by some other dude. But if like at any point he turned around and goes, yeah, so one time I was fucking this other bitch, I'd be like, knife. Did you say what, sir? You fucking said what? Like, I'm pretending you've never had sex with anybody else. Good God. But that's great though. I think that's a good way to like ease into it, and as long as, you know, he's not trying to tell you.
Yeah, right. No. Yeah, he has not. I think he knows better.
So like what are like next steps? Like, is it like FaceTime next?
We haven't really even got there or like talked about that. So I would assume that would probably be next, but we really are just going pretty slow.
Fuck yeah. Do you think it's like, not that it's like wouldn't be working or whatever, but like has he given like positive feedback? Like, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, well, like if I'm like, is that what you're looking for? Or like whatever, he'll be like, yeah, that's good. Or like, he hasn't said anything's bad, so I hope it's not.
Oh, that's great. Are you getting like descriptive, or are you like, you know, you put the lobster into the cold water and then you turn it up?
Yeah, like
and
I slowly would say like a couple of things, and he'd be like, "Tell me more." Like what? And I was like, "Okay."
My like memory would not be good enough for that. And also, like,
that was literally another thing. I was like, I just feel like I don't really remember that good.
And also, like, this is your fiance. This is who like you want to end up with. Like, I know for me, I'm like, okay, I've had like a couple of like other like specific like really bomb sexual experiences, people are like, but do you want me to talk about like, do I have to like glamorize and make it seem like, oh, he was great, he couldn't find the clit, it was so fun, I loved it, like what?
And but also like at some point you're gonna run out of stories,
right?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, true. That's so funny. I love it. That's amazing.
What's his sign?
Cancer.
Huh. Male cancers are a different I just like don't totally get them. And I say that like one of my best friends is a male cancer, and I like love him to death, but like I'm like, you are so like, I don't get you. Like, you're so mysterious. But it's a good pairing, Aquarius and Cancer, just because I both like Aquariuses and Cancers. I have no idea if astrologically it matters. To be fair, astrologically, Capricorn and Leo, which is me and Monts, is the by far the worst pairing. Like they're all, like,
I don't
it's like
think
awful.
Cancer and Aquarius have that good of an outlook, but
who cares? Fuck it.
You're making it work.
It's all first impressions anyway. That's really what it is. Amazing. Okay, well, great. Thank you so much for giving us an update. We appreciate it and absolutely love it. And makes me happy when people like, you know, listen to the show and then call in and then they continue listening after we've answered their call. And then they're like, and we'll give you an update. Like, that makes me feel really fucking good. So thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Now we're going to get into the calls.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I thought of you both to ask those questions since I know that sometimes you reference astrology. There is this astrology dating app. It's called like Nuit, something like that. But I've been utilizing it because I'm into astrology. And I met this guy, we'll name him Jerry, and we got a 92 in romance. It basically like gives numerical amounts to your synastry connections, like of your entire birth chart. So we got a 92. To me, that means that we are meant to be, right? But he's really, really dragging his feet on things. I'm an Aries. I have Venus in Aries. I'm very impatient. And we like spend a lot of time in messages, but he doesn't want to meet up. Like he keeps blaming it on, you know, social distancing, which I totally understand, but it's like where we live, our city, we're out of the zone where we're able to like meet up. So I don't really get it. I'm having a hard time like moving on because normally I'm an Aries. It's like if it's not like going anywhere, I'm totally done with it. But like our charts are so compatible. So I like low key feel like he's the one. So I'm looking for some advice. Like, you think that he's making that an excuse? Like, he still messages me all the time. Or should I just move on, even though our stars are aligned and we're literally meant to be? And I don't know why he's not recognizing that. Even 92, for God's sake. But anyways, appreciate any insight you can give. Love the pod. Have a beautiful day.
I feel like this is what people think we feel about astrology when they're like, they're obsessed with astrology. And I remember being like, whoa, pump the brakes, Aries. Yeah. Pump the fucking brakes. First of all, this is your fucking PSA and reminder. We are in a fucking pandemic, and the Cheeto that is our fucking president in the White House is an absolute load of shit. So any fucking government mandated thing or, oh, my city is fine, and you're within the US, it's not fucking fine. Not. We have a fucking dictator, and his idiotic self he's a fucking the Chinese virus. I'm sorry, he's a like fucking racist. Mm-hmm. And if we're gonna go just based on the pandemic stuff, the reason why the US is fucked up so much from this is because of our government and him. So then to listen to your government and be like, oh well, they say our city's fine, even though we have No. Unless you live in fucking New Zealand or one of those, unless your school, all of that shit is fine, you're not fine. Schools shouldn't be in session. All of this shit shouldn't be happening. So to say like, oh, well, I'm just going to follow this, that's literally being like, okay, I'm going to follow this thing. And I know that the outcome is all of these people dying. And like, I'm going to keep doing the thing that we have been doing. Like, this is like, I don't even know what state you're in, but like, California specifically, I have fucking people who I know who are like just being like, well, I'm following California's protocol. I'm like, you know how we've had the same protocol in place even though we've increased our like numbers every day? Right. You know that, right?
Means, like, and like they're starting to open like hair salons and stuff again.
And like, we're doing worse than we were when they put those there.
So like,
cause and effect.
Use your brain, guys.
Yeah. So that's the first thing that like, this like belittling of anyone who's like, well, are they blaming it on the pandemic? It's like, oh, actually what that sounds like to me. And like, you know, what we hear about on the other end is like, as soon as someone's being like, oh, let's meet up, like you and I, we're texting each other being like, oh, trash, fucking trash, like judging anyone who's trying to meet up during the pandemic. Whereas you're judging him for like blaming the pandemic on not wanting to meet up with you. So like, if anything, if I were him, harsh, but this is the truth. If I saw that you were trying to meet up with me during the pandemic, I would be like, yeah, I'm not that interested in this person anymore.
Yep. 100% happened to me.
Yeah. like it was so fast. It was like, hey, look at this. And then it goes, hey, unsend the previous text message.
I literally said, now I'm dry.
Now I'm explicitly, it was like, yeah, no. And you know that's fucked when someone's that attractive that it can just. So that's what I would say about that aspect of it. I think astrology's fun and like astrology memes are fun, but like, oh my God.
It's not a science.
No. And like,
fun. Like we talk about it because it's fun for us to talk about, but we don't take it like a exact science.
Well, and also like, I don't know any astrologists like who like I follow or whatever, who like their whole like premise of astrology and that they go on is like to better understand yourself and the people in your life and like how to communicate with them better. It's kind of like similar to love languages or something like that, or like attachment theory or things that like it's just to better understand. It's not like how to like pick and choose the people in your life. It's more like how you interact with the people in your life or how those relationships go, and being compatible like on paper.
That doesn't. No,
it doesn't. No. And I think like maybe you think because he's also on that app that like he would value that even more. But I just think that like Monts and I aren't compatible. Our charts are like literally not compatible like at all. But the whole thing that they've always said from astrologers that I've like been like when they talk about compatibility, it's just like first impression, like instant connection. But it doesn't mean that those people aren't like can't be friends or can't anything like that. Like you can have some differences in your personality and like that might be tied to astrology, but like it's not the cause of it. Like it's just who you are or who you're not. And I mean,
even our update that we heard earlier, she was saying that her and her fiance aren't like astrologically compatible, but they're engaged. So you can't go off of that.
No,
you should take the
his
pandemic.
Disinterest.
No, you should take the pandemic as seriously as you take astrology.
Yes. I am 92% sure that you're being reckless and not treating this as seriously as you should. 92% sure. And also, why do you have to meet up? Like, why, like, if this person, like, if they're your person, why can't you FaceTime and talk and really get to know them and spend this whole time, like, having, like, a really deep personal connection before you, like, meet up with them when the pandemic is over? Like,
yeah.
I don't think he's your person if you have to meet up with him, like, immediately now.
Agree.
And I also don't think you're his person because I think he is, like, no, there's a pandemic. And, like, I actually care about people's lives, and you're like,
I care. Like the fact that he doesn't want to meet up with you, like,
is a turn
shows
on.
that he cares about your
like
health.
I'm wet. Like I'm wet for a guy who's like, hey, sorry, I can't meet up. Like it's the pandemic. He's like, you know, I just like the immune like if a man tells me that he's worried about the immune compromised, pussy dripping, wop as fuck. You're concerned about everybody. You're wearing a mask with a filter. Wop as shit.
Oof.
Ooh. Ooh, my nipples are hard. Like, yes. Talk social distancing to me, daddy. Like, fuck yes. Let's go on to the next.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm calling in for some kind of relationship advice. It's kind of just a sticky situation I got myself into. So me and my boyfriend have been together for almost 2 years now. And when I met him, I told him I was a year older than I actually was. not because for any specific reason, like we just were friends at first, but I always tell people that I'm a year older than I actually am because my birthday is like late, just according to like the school month, and I met him when we were in school. So yeah, I told him I was a year older than I actually was, and we've been dating for 2 years, so I've only had one birthday, like just like with him, if that makes sense. And we're long distance right now, but so I didn't really have to worry about it, like because I had forgotten, like he thought I was a year older. But this birthday coming up, I remembered again, and I realized like, oh shoot, I need to tell him, because when I turn of age, or 21, I think that's of age. Like I'm sure he's gonna want to do some things like that I actually have to be 21 for, and I feel really secure in our relationship, but I'm still like I'm just really like I don't know how to bring it up because I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like a big confession type of thing. But yeah, I'm a Leo. He's a Taurus. Yeah, we are long distance again. But I know it was kind of fucked, or it is really fucked up for me to do in the first place. And like I acknowledge that, and I made a huge mistake. Well, not a huge one, but it's just kind of like a stupid one.
Were you 17 when you met him?
That's what it is. Well, because she's talking about, he thinks that, it sounds like he thinks she's turning 21 this year and she's turning 20.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sounds like he's going to want to do something 21 thing. And you're like, actually, I'm only turning 20. And so that if you've been dating for 2 years, that means you're 18 now. Yeah. So you were 17. No, you're 19 now. 18. So you were 17 when you dated, right? When you started dating.
I think so. If she's saying that this birthday that's coming up is her 21st.
Well, that's literally the only fucking thing that would make sense. Like, I was either thinking you were either like lying about being 21 or you were lying about being like 18. Like, those are the ages that you are. This is just like, the issue with this is manipulative in like doing this in the first place, because you're taking away his ability and his decision making if he doesn't want to date someone who's 17, which is very, very, very valid. And it's not up to you to decide if he's comfortable with that or not. Like, but then when you take that decision away from him, you're deciding that you don't trust that he will be comfortable. And so you don't care about how he feels about it. And also, again, there's also nothing hotter than a dude who's like, I'm so sorry, I don't want to, like, you're a little too young for me right now. Like, sexy, hot. You are not fetishizing young children. I love that. Like, thank you. Like, that's a good thing. That's also a great thing. I'm gonna level with you. I think it's kind of sus as fuck that this hasn't come up at all, or like, has he ever hung out with your friends? Like, has he like...
she says that her birthday is later in the year, so her friends are probably 18. Like...
But like her friends, like for your birthday posts and stuff, do you have to like communicate with your friends and say like, hey, don't write my age anywhere?
Oh, that's true.
Like, that's the thing that like, there's certain like lies, which is like, it's a one-time line. It never comes up again. But like your age specifically is one that like, I don't see it having happened that you said it one time and then you've had to like cover for a birthday. Like, like that's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
you shouldn't have done it.
No.
You shouldn't have done it. That puts him in an awkward situation. Also, how old is he? Because this might be something. You just have to prepare yourself that this might be something that's unforgivable for him. But you need to tell him. Yeah.
Well, because he's gonna find out.
Yeah.
Like, he will find out. And it is something that like, it's okay. It's allowed to be unforgivable. Like, it's his choice if he wants to like forgive you for doing this. And it's it just don't do this kind of shit. Like, just don't.
Yeah.
Like,
and the sooner you tell him, then the easier it's going to be. It's going to be hard, but just be honest with him.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a late for school birthday, it's probably around now, because I'm August and I always had a late for school birthday. Like I was always like one of the youngest in my class. So you've got between whenever your birthday is, like I'm assuming it's in the next couple weeks, next couple months, like you have to tell him before.
Yeah.
Because like imagine he fucking sends you like all of the, oh my God, they're long distance. Imagine this. He fucking sends her alcohol. She has to sign for it to be 21. She can't sign
rejected
for it. Like, and because your name's going to be on it. So they can't even have somebody else who's over 21 sign for it. It has to be their name on it and then you sign for it. Like Moss, when he like orders like Bevmo shit, I can't sign for it, even though I'm over 21, but it's because it's his name.
Yep. Because it could be like parents or kids stealing their parents' IDs or whatever and then buying it. And so when they deliver, they have to still check just like they do in the store. Yeah. So let's like role play.
Okay. Who do you want to
be? Jinx. You be the girl.
Okay. Hey babe. Hey daddy. Hey babe.
Hey there.
I have something that I need to tell you, and I want to start off by saying I really regret doing this. This was a really big mistake, and I really wish I hadn't done this because it was not my place to take away this the choice from you. But when we first
You're starting
met,
to scare me.
I'm so sorry. I also murdered your dog.
Okay.
When we first met, I lied about my age and I said that I was a year older than I actually am. So I said that I was, example, 18 when I was actually 17. And I did that because I didn't think you would date me because I was underage, which is a very valid and fair thing to have done. And I shouldn't have taken that away from you. You should be able to agree and consent to everything in our relationship. And by making that decision for you, I took that ability away from you. And I understand if this is something we can't move past. And I really regret everything, but I just needed to come clean.
Wow. That is a lot. So this is something like pretty big that you've lied to me about, and I really wish you would have told me earlier. And like, if you've lied about this, what else have you lied about?
Some stuff. I definitely, I mean, I had to, create a whole lie to cover up this lie and get other people roped into my lie. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to need to take some time to think about this, but what you did wasn't cool.
I agree, and you're totally valid and fair in doing that, and I respect whatever decision you end up making.
Okay. I need a minute.
And scene. That's how this needs to fucking go.
Yeah, because you the way that you laid everything out, you as in Meghan took full responsibility for everything that happened and gave the complete truth of everything that was said.
And when you let someone know that kind of thing, you can't like qualify it with like, you can say like, this was the reason why I did it. And that's not, but it's not like, but I did it because of this, this, and this. And that as if that justifies it. Like you can explain why you did it, but also it's everyone's preference of how they like apologies. Like when someone apologizes to me, like I do want to know like what was going through your head and like why you did it, but I do want you to still assume responsibility. So that's like super important. And you also have to like recognize too that like within all of this lie, there is like the birthday you celebrated and like that kind of lie. And if they want to break up with you because of this, that's their right. And that's okay. And you can't pressure someone into it or being like, well, I did this because I love you. And like, look how happy we are now. Like you don't get to compare like the good times and be like, oh, look at this. It's a scale. Like it's a pro and con list. Like, but look how great I've been. But like I did this one little thing. Like it's in the past. Let's move on. Like it's completely on them if they want to or not.
Good luck.
So yeah, good luck.
But anybody out there, don't ever lie about your age. Because it just puts people in an awkward position. It doesn't give people a choice. And you should be truthful with people from the beginning.
Okay, guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. If you think you may be depressed or you're feeling anxious, stressed, or overwhelmed, BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who are trained to listen and help. You can talk with your counselor in a safe and private online environment at your convenience from wherever you are comfortable. You all know how much that we love therapy and preach therapy here on our show, and we love BetterHelp. The BetterHelp counselors have expertise in a broad range of areas: anxiety, grief, depression, relationships, difficulty sleeping. Difficulty sleeping is very much something that I talk with my therapist about. They also can help you with family conflicts, self-esteem, and more. Really anything and everything that you are currently going through. Therapy, as we always say, is always the answer to really have those deep conversations and have someone who can listen and help you go through all of this stuff. And BetterHelp can give you access to help that might not be available in your area. Therapists are hard to find in person, and especially, where we're at right now in the world, in the country. So if you live in a small town, I'm picturing you in like a little cottage, tucked away. You've got horses. I don't love horses, but you have horses and all of that stuff. You can get therapy wherever you are. And it's simple. You just fill out a questionnaire that helps you assess your specific needs, and then you can get matched with a counselor in under 48 hours. And you can schedule secure video or phone sessions with your therapist, plus exchange unlimited messages. That is, when I say that is amazing, it's amazing. Video therapy, I love. I think it's fantastic, especially right now where we're at. It's super important for us to all be taking our mental health into account and really prioritizing that. And those videos and phone calls and texts, it really makes it so accessible, and it really destigmatizes that relationship and going to therapy. Everything you share is confidential, and you can request a new counselor anytime at no additional charge. If you don't vibe, if you don't really hit it off, that's okay. That happens. Sometimes we have to go through a couple of counselors, a couple of therapists until we find the right fit. It really is about that mutual relationship where it's someone who you really connect with and that can really help. So if you don't find that on the first try, that's okay. You can try another one, and again, no additional charge. Join the 1 million plus people seeing an experienced BetterHelp professional. And in fact, so many people are using BetterHelp that they're currently recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. Like I said, we are massive fans of therapy here. It has been so crucial and so important in my mental health journey and understanding myself and just kind of working through things. And I love it. I love it so much. It's been so amazing. And I think everyone can benefit from it. And especially if you're thinking about it and you think it might be helpful, do it. I promise you, you will not regret it. It is such a life-changing thing. And as my therapist said, if you could have done it on your own, you already would have done it. And we need extra help. She refers to it as like you have a ton of bags at the airport, and it's just easier if someone else helps you carry them. BetterHelp is an affordable option, and our listeners get 10% off your first month with the discount code BLAME. Get started today at betterhelp.com/blame. That's betterhelp.com/blame. Talk to a therapist online and get help. Okay, guys, we are back from our break, and we're going to get into the rest of the calls.
Hi, friends. I just wanted to call and say, one, I love your podcast. I listen to it on all my road trips. But I was calling because I have a little bit of a predicament. So I'm gay. I've always identified as gay since I was like probably 15 or so. I came out as gay to my super religious family that had kind of a hard time with it. And so like it took them a while to accept me. But eventually they came around, and it was like a thing that made us stronger or whatever. But recently I've been kind of re-questioning my sexuality. I've been kind of curious about boys because there is this guy that I met on OkCupid, and he has like all the qualities of someone that I would like. He's, you know, a Hufflepuff, which is really important. He's a Libra. He's an ENFJ, I think. I don't know. I know he's an ENF something. I'm an Aries, and I love Libras. Like, I love Libras. They always crush my heart, but I love them. And we get along really, really well. And he wants to have sex. But I'm really, really worried because I've never had sex with a man, and I am just really confused and just concerned because I do have some, like, trigger warning, I do have some trauma with, like, men. I'm not really a big fan. So I'm worried that, like, we're going to try and I'm going to, like, freak out on him, and it's going to be a whole big thing. But I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. I'm worried that if I do like him, I'm going to have to come out to my parents and be like, "Hi, parents. Remember when I told you that I was gay? Surprise! There's a man that I like, and it was all for nothing." And they're going to be all emotional, and I'm just really concerned. So if you could help me, that would be great, because I really don't know what to do.
Okay, first I want to point out that you met him on OkCupid. So that means that you would have had men, selected as far as somebody that you wanted to date. And the thing about sexuality is that it's on a spectrum. And so it's on a spectrum. So it could be like you were attracted to women all your life, and then now there's just this one guy is the only guy that you'll ever be attracted to. Or it could be you were attracted to women and now you're attracted to men. Or it could be you're attracted to everybody. Like, sexuality doesn't fit into one box, and you don't have to come out to people again unless you want to. Like, it could be, maybe you're fluid. We don't know, but it's for you, and you don't have to tell anybody unless, like, you're really into this guy.
Yeah. And I would also say, like, I think there's like a lot of like really great readings on like trauma and related to like the LGBTQIA plus community. And like people have posted in like our Facebook group, like some like interesting articles of people who've gone through like very similar things of like questioning their sexuality. And I think like, I also just want to say that like right off the bat, like coming out to your family and the choice you made to come out to your family, like is not a waste. Like that's never going to be a waste. And like, regardless of like where your sexuality goes from here, like honoring that part of your life. If like you aren't if you're attracted, like you said, if you're attracted to like this one man, that doesn't negate like every other woman you've ever been attracted to, or every other like non-binary person you've been attracted to, or anything. Like it doesn't negate that at all. And I think like, even if from here, let's say this person is like the person you end up with the rest of your life, like you never date anyone in like the LGBTQIA plus community ever again. Like you're dating like a cis straight man. Not sure if that's like where he falls, but like that, like, just let's just say, for example, you're doing that. That doesn't make you any less of whatever you identify as. Like if you decide that you want to identify as just like a part of the community, if you want to identify as like whatever you want, or if you don't want to identify as anything, like your like title and your label should be something that feels good to you and like feels empowering to you. And that's the reason why you're comfortable with it. It's not for anybody else at all. Like it's just for you. And if there isn't one that like fits you or feels good to you, then like be done with that, like a label. And if one felt good for a while, but like doesn't sit right now, like, okay, like it's your life and it's your choices for whatever you want to do. And I think like honoring the fact that like that's such a huge thing to like come out to like incredibly religious parents and like have this be like a process of getting there. And that's never going to be a waste, regardless of like whoever you end up with, like what they identify as. So I think if we're going to talk about like, first of all, if he wants to have sex, we're in a pandemic.
Right.
So
I mean,
don't.
you can have sex, but no mouse.
Yeah. And like he can't, like, come anywhere.
So like, or if it's in a condom, it's fine.
Yeah, but then you guys need like you can't breathe on each other either. Yeah. And like you need like
you have
quarantine and you have to wear masks. Put a whole particle like partition between both of you. But I would say in future, if you decide that you like want to have a sexual experience with a man and like have your first one, like I think all you really need to do is like clue him in and like let him know like, hey, I've only been with women before. I have some, trauma in my past and like, I'm going to level with you. Like, I don't really know how this is going to go. And like, if you don't want to hook up, that's totally fine. But like, if you do, I just need you to understand that like, I don't know how this is going to go. And like, we're going to take this really slow. And like, you're going to need to check in on me as we do this. And like, this is just how it's going to be. And I think if you don't feel comfortable telling him that, I wouldn't sleep with, if you don't feel comfortable talking to someone, that you're going to sleep with, like, about like if you're worried about the outcome or worried how it's going, like in that kind of way, then like I wouldn't do it. I think like you don't have to like, I don't think you have to like tell someone like if you've never had like penetrative sex before, I don't think you like, that's all your own business. But I think if it's about, if for you're concerned you're going to be in a very vulnerable state, I would make sure you're in that vulnerable state with someone who you can trust. And if you can't trust them, I wouldn't do that. But I also like, I don't think everyone who has sexual trauma needs to let the people that they're sleeping with know at all. Like however you want to reclaim your sexuality, do whatever the fuck you want with your body. But if you're concerned about your own vulnerability in a moment and it would make you feel better to like have someone clued in on it, then I think you should totally do that because it can be very like, I also think that might weed out like if you like want to sleep with them or not. But yeah, I think it's like everything you said, like it doesn't need your sexuality and like it can totally change. And this could just be like the one person that you're interested in. And also it could be like, I'm not going to say a phase because like sexuality is not a phase, but like it could just be like, oh, I'm curious. Like I'm curious. And then maybe you try it. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you do like it. And I don't think you need to feel like a pressure.
Like you're in a hole. Like you can't get out of anything. You're not backing yourself into any type of corner. That's the beautiful thing about sexuality.
Yeah. And I think that we give like straight people who or like let's say like people who like have like lived so much of their life like in like heteronormative relationships, if they then decide like once they're older like recognizing their sexuality and they're like that's great, but like I don't think that there's that same sort of understanding in the queer I'm not a part of the queer community, but in some of like friends that I've had who have like identified as strictly one way or the other, and then they like hook up with a girl or hook up with a guy and that it feels like wrong, but it's like we need to normalize like gender and sexuality as being like a who the fuck cares and who the fuck knows. Not my business, not my problem. Like two consenting adults, have fucking fun. Do whatever the fuck you want.
I've been with my boyfriend for a little over 3 years. I'm a Leo. He's a Sagittarius. I've known him practically my whole life, ever since elementary school. And me and his mom were super, super close. Literally talked almost every day. I would visit her at work. We would go on dinner dates together. I saw her as one of my friends, not my boyfriend's mom. Well, I used to work at this type of establishment. It was kind of like a strip club, but not really. But we did dress like strippers, but we didn't dance. But it was also partial nudity. And we kept it a secret. And she somehow found out that I worked at that type of establishment, and she also found out what I was wearing. And when she brought it up to my boyfriend, he was super embarrassed and he got really mad at me. And I was really confused because I was like, you gave me permission to, work at this job. I asked you if you were okay with it. He said yes. So I was like, okay, cool. If he wasn't okay with it, I totally would have left because I don't have any problem with that. Anyways, she found out and it was really, really awkward. And also she found out the first week of shelter in place here in California. And I hadn't talked to her for months. And then just one day I decided to reach out and like, hey, like, I know you know where I used to work at. If you want to talk, like, I'm really sorry. I just feel super awkward about this situation. And then she ended up texting back like, hey, we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. But I responded, but I feel like I need to because I'm dating your son. It was really awkward. And she was like, okay, like, we'll talk about it soon. Like, see you soon. And it's been months since I have last seen her and she never texted me back. So what do? I want to reach out and like rekindle a relationship because I'm literally planning on like having kids with this man and marrying this man. And we live together and have lived together for like 2 years. So please, if you have any advice on how to reach out, if I should reach out, if I should not reach out, what do I do? Thanks, guys. I love the podcast. Bye.
I don't know if you phrased it if you just misphrased something, but did you actually ask permission from your boyfriend or did you just ask his comfortability level with you taking this job?
Two very different things.
Yeah.
Because there's like your partner's comfortability and like that's, it goes both ways. It's totally valid. Like if you're uncomfortable with something your partner's doing, like I think it is great for everyone to ask, but like I think that there's also an extent to that. Like if your partner is not comfortable with like you hanging out alone with your ex, like,
right.
Okay, I'm not really comfortable with that. But then if there's like, hey, I'm not really comfortable about like your own body autonomy, like you, and like if it's something that like you're passionate about, you really care about, and like you're totally cool with, or if it's like one of those like, but you actually work there. But I would say like if it was one of those things like hypothetically, if I became a porn star, how would you feel? Like versus like hey, I'm giving you a heads up, but I want to like see how comfortable you are. I'm not totally tied to this idea. I was just thinking about it. But like there's a big difference between that and then like, but also this is like where the red flag fucking city popping up. You Freudian slipping saying you asked your boyfriend his permission and he gave his permission and then his mom found out and then he got mad at you.
Right.
Like what the
like he was well aware of it. So
yeah.
He's just mad because his mom found out? Because that's messed up.
Well, because then that's the kind of thing of like, oh, like you're not a stripper, but like this is like a very popular thing of like, oh, I'm fine with you're a stripper and I think it's hot if you're a stripper, but like nobody else can find out. Like, so you want to reap all the benefits of dating someone where you think it's like this hot illicit thing that you get to date a sex worker, but like nobody else can know because you actually don't value sex workers. Like that's incel shit.
Yeah. So I think you need to clear things up with him first and talk before you even worry about his mom, because he doesn't respect you and he cares more about what his mom thinks about your profession, even though he was well aware of it. And that is not cool at all. And I'm sure him being mad at you is part of the reason why she's not talking to you.
Oh yeah, because they're on a team now.
Yep.
It's like them against you. And like, who knows if he even ever told you? I doubt he even told his mom, like, oh, I knew. Yeah. Like, or I was okay with it, or I was comfortable with it. Like, and it's just such a fucking, like, I get that you really like this woman and like, you've always really liked her, but like, she likes you conditionally. And like,
she's always going to choose her son. Always.
And anybody who like likes I understand like being respectful around people who are older in like a certain, but like also truthfully, like I didn't grow up with grandparents. Like I swear in front of people. Like I'm not going to be like super rude, but if I like get to know, like I swear in front of Monts' parents, like
I swear in front of my parents.
Yeah,
and they make jokes about it. Like they're like, oh, Melisa with her mouth, me and my middle sister Meghan. Like they talk about us and our bad mouths, and then our other sister Melanie, she pretends to be the good one, but then like says things and she like, I didn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's so funny.
So,
but that's like, I think that like it's totally fine to like want to be respectful, especially when it's like not your parents. Like, yeah, we're not going to walk into like someone's home and just start like cussing and like like whipping out a fucking tit.
You gotta
but
read
like
the fucking room.
Yeah, but there's also like an extent of, okay, so then you have been, she's going to take something that is like so minuscule. Like she knows you. She's known you for all of these years, and she's going to like throw away a relationship on a job that you had.
Yeah.
Like that's so sexist as like, and like sex shamey and like slut shamey as fuck, because it's like, she's not even going off of like, oh, first impression, my son's dating a girl who like works at a bar where they dress like strippers. It's like, no, this girl that I've known and who I've loved for the last 3 years, this is her job. And now this changes the way that I see her as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do not go begging for forgiveness from her. Like, do not do any of that stuff. Like, fucking stand your ground. Be a fucking, like, empowered feminist. Like, this was my choice. And I was above and beyond. And, like, your son was comfortable with it and fine with it. And, like, it's my body, my choice. And if you decide to not like me then fuck off. Like, yeah. And also, like, the idea, like, oh, well, I want to have a good relationship with her because, like, I want, like, she'll be, like, grandmother and all of that stuff. Do you want her being, and I'm not saying, like, you can have people who are in your family or marry into a family that you don't necessarily, like, you're not best friends. You don't agree with everything, but you need to be standing strong in your convictions with your husband. Is convictions the right word, or is that a religious word?
Yeah. No,
but like
right.
In your choices with you and whoever your partner ends up being, that how you raise your kids is not going to be fitting into the mold of what somebody else wants.
And so also he is not on your side right now. So like, is that somebody that you really see yourself being with, somebody that chose his mom's emotions over your own?
Conditional. It's all fucking conditional love, and that's not love at all. Like if it becomes like, if you fit the mold or you do what I think you're going to do, and if you do something that seems out of character for the character I've created for you, then I am not here for that. That's conditional love. That's you are playing a part and you are playing a role, and if you do not play it to their expectations, no, it's. Yeah, you need to have a long sit down conversation with your boyfriend. And I would also do some reflecting about your own internalized misogyny and like slut shaming stuff, which like I think as like women, we have to, like, we all go through. Like, I think back to some of the fucking shit that I said in high school. Like, we used to call people sluts all the time. And I'm like,
I still call people sluts, but like in a way of endearing, like, endearing, empowering.
It's reclaiming.
Yes.
But like, there's so much stuff of like, or even like something I've like a TikTok hole that I've like gotten into recently is like I forget what they call it, but like there's just like the not like other girls sort of a thing. And like the internalized misogyny of like, oh, it's not cool to like Taylor Swift. It's not cool to like pumpkin spice lattes, like basic bitches. Like, don't be like this. Like, don't like things that are mainstream and cool. Like, don't be this like kind of girl. Like, don't wear makeup. Like, ew, like I'm not like that. Like, that's internalized misogyny. And like, you can be like a bro girl. Like, you can be like any of that kind of stuff that like, and like what you like, but as soon as you are liking something to spite what is popular or to spite like what other women like, that's internalized misogyny.
Right.
I hate this for you.
So I was friends with this girl who I know through, I don't want to give too much detail, but I basically know this girl and I've been friends with her for a while, and we got really close, like the kind of close where like you share really personal information, that sort of thing. Well, I started getting more information from like who she is and like what types of stuff she follows through one of her social media accounts.
And turns out she's basically a closeted Trump supporter. Did not know that about her. I am the literal polar opposite. I hate him with like every fiber of my being, and he completely offends me. So I guess I'm asking for advice on how to handle the fact that due to how I know this person, I can't avoid them. But also, like, this is like the second person that I've gotten close to, who I've, liked as like, like a person in my life, and gotten along well with. And they've ended up being a Trump supporter. And I guess I'm asking for, like, how do I find these red flags? Like, why am I not seeing them? I am so anti-Trump. Like, I am so actively anti-Trump, and I am all the things against him because he's so terrible. And like, as a woman, like, I can't fathom anyone supporting him, like, wholeheartedly. And I just, like, how do I find these red flags? Because, like, I am really struggling. Any advice you have would be great. Thank you.
I think in this time and day and age, you just got to ask people straight up.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there are things that you can look for, as somebody who does this a lot.
Mm-hmm. She really does.
I really do. I do this every day. I also do it before I respond to people, like, in DMs. Like, if you haven't posted anything about Black Lives Matter on your grid and you want to, like, talk to me about, like, if you, like, lead in with a DM that, like, I know where you stand, and then, like, but you're trying to make it seem like, well, I totally, like, I just, like, have a question, like, just want to clarify. And I'm like, okay, I can see from your profile that, like, you're not wearing a mask at all. Like, you're with lots of people, like, you're partying in your stories. You follow Tommy Lauren on Instagram as well as every other social platform. And you also follow Trump, and you also follow Mitt Romney. Okay, cool. And then we've got, like, just, like, nothing on your stories. And then we've also got, QAnon shit on there too. Okay, cool. So,
oh God.
I know. So what I would say is, like, truthfully, the first thing is look at who people are following. There is something that blows my mind. And this is, like, a narrative that a lot of conservatives have. Oh, look at me. I said a lot. I didn't say all, but stay mad in the comments. Go for it. Don't give a shit. That, like, I need to listen. I'm going to be friends with people who are liberal because I want to hear both sides. So, like, I want to be around all of that kind of stuff. And I'm also not going to be a loud Trump supporter, but I'm going to, like, sit here quietly and be okay being friends with you, because then when you find out that I'm a Trump supporter and you're not okay being friends with me, I'm going to turn that on you about how you are intolerant. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. It is just a mind game. It is not because they actually care about you. It's not because they actually want to be friends with you. It is truly, if they're like fucking Trump supporter, not like, oh, my parents are, and, like, I'm trying to figure out my own political views, and, like, I don't really know, and, like, I'm exploring and kind of understanding, and I'm definitely going to end up being a socialist in, like, 2 years, versus the people who, like, are steadfast fucking alt-right Republicans, conservative Trump supporters. If they are becoming friends with, it is purely just a fucking chess move. So then they can flip the narrative back on you about how you are intolerant, and about how, look, I'm okay with this. Like, I thought the left was all about being tolerant. And, like, I get that all the time when I, like, when I call racist people out on Twitter and I say, I think you're late for the Klan meeting, Becky. And they're like, I thought you're you're liberals, like, you're bullying me. And I'm like, yes, I am bullying you. I never said I wasn't a fucking bully.
Get off my timeline.
Like, bitch, fuck off. Like, and you just want to do that because it's like, oh, well, I thought you guys were all about blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah. Okay, fuck off. Like, just truly just fuck off. But I think that the first thing, I think you're right. Like, ask people straight up. But I think, like, after you ask them, if you also don't believe them, like, fucking look on their socials, look at who they're following, look at look at who they're following on, look who they like on Facebook, look at who they're retweeting things from. Like maybe it's like a local news station, but that local news station, or like a local news anchor or something, but that local news anchor is only retweeting Ben Shapiro shit. Like,
and you can casually drop things in conversation, like about immigration, about
bait them.
About climate change. I think climate change is probably the easiest one to drop in.
Yeah, you're like,
Planned
it's Parenthood.
So hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rights of women. Like, there's just like subtle things that you can drop in. The police.
Oh yeah, if you say ACAB, fucking, you will be immediately. It's like, but my uncle. And you're like, okay, fuck you and your fucking uncle. I don't give a shit. Like, I truly don't.
Yeah.
And there is like, this is something that is important to you, which is great. It should be important to like everybody. I think that instead of being like, I'm so vocal about this, like, continue to be as vocal as you are, but assume that not everybody is that. Like, unless you are actively, outwardly, all the time, like screaming from the top of the fucking rooftops, fuck Trump, like fuck racism, like fuck sexism, like fuck homophobia, fuck all of that shit. If you are quietly any of those things, you're not doing enough. And like, the people that you should seek out to be friends with should be doing the same level that you are doing. Like, it should be that same level of like loudness at like calling out all of that bullshit. And if someone's not posting about that, it's because they don't, or not posting about it. If someone's not posting about it, someone's not talking about it, it's not something that like they're contributing to the conversation. It's because they don't believe in that. And they either don't believe in it because they're like, oh, well, no, I'm like liberal and stuff, but like, I just like don't like talking about politics. It makes me uncomfortable. Like, I have this, and this. I have like I have a cop uncle. So like, but the sort of things, then no, like surround yourself with people who share your same beliefs and your same values to the same extent that you do. And it sucks because we want to assume that everybody thinks that way, but they don't. And like, unless they're loudly doing that, then they don't. Like, no one feels that way quietly unless they like live in the middle of nowhere and they're by themselves and they don't have internet or Twitter. Like, you have those conversations in person with people. Like, you go to you protest. Like, you talk about that stuff. You don't have to just be posting it online. Okay.
All right. Are you ready for Don't Blame Them?
I am ready.
We have someone that is calling to share how to talk dirty about your past sexcapades with your current boyfriend.
Hi ladies, so I am calling about the last episode where the girl had her boyfriend asking to tell us about like previous sex partners and stuff. So my boyfriend actually likes the same thing, and I used to be really uncomfortable with it too, but how I figured out that like it was more comfortable for me is like I would kind of like do it like while we were having sex, and like let's say like she was hitting it from the back, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I loved when Josh did it like that and he fucked me like so hard, you know what I mean? Like kind of bring it up like that and kind of like make him excited, or just kind of be like, oh, like so and so did it like this and it felt so good. Like not exactly like, oh, one day, like on a Wednesday, so-and-so did it like this. So that just kind of like made it easier for me. And then, you kind of get more comfortable with it after doing it so many times. So
I think it's so great that like we're all into totally different things, like sexually and all that stuff. And I think it's just like so wildly fascinating and awesome. And like, it's just like, we're all so unique. Truly, if Monts was inside of me and mentioned a girl that he fucked, so-and-so did, R.I.P.
See, and I don't
Sorry
think I'd
to
have a
this
problem
man.
with it. I've never done it. And I think it would just add to the excitement of it because I'm like, yeah, you were with her, but like you're in me right now. But I want to hear, I think I would like to hear about it.
In
theory,
total
I would
sense
like to
me.
hear about it, but I don't know if in actual practice if I would.
See,
Like
for
if
me,
she was like some hot bitch and I was like, okay, tell me about that. And then like, but I've got you now.
yeah. See, and that makes total sense to me. Like, I get why it could be a complete turn on. Totally. Like, I fully understand like what is hot about it. I just like also, I know I would not enjoy it. But that's also like, there's other things like, you know, like other people are like, ugh. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you don't want to be called a slut for sure. Like, I get how that can be
I don't
very
think
degrading.
I would like to be called a slut. But,
exactly.
Yeah.
But you're like, I could see how someone would like it, not my cup of tea. And that's the great part about sexuality and like sex and all of that stuff. Like we can all be into whatever we're into. And the more that we talk about that shit and the more that people like, we can normalize it. And also like it makes it safer for everybody because like there's no shame in like what you're interested in. And then also that like reclaiming that like it's not just doing things that like, doing things that you're uncomfortable with. It's like, the more I understand these things, like doing things like, how can I make this something that I'm also into? And how can my partner reciprocate that and do something that I'm into that they feel comfortable with? And then like in turn, and I also think like whatever you're doing sexually, like the reason why you do it, if it's not something you're originally into, is because it turns your partner on, which then in turn should turn you on. Like there needs to be this like mutual enjoyment of it to an extent that like maybe it's not like that like doesn't get me hard, but like the fact that it gets you hard makes me like fucking I'm here for it. So I think that's wildly interesting. But I like, can you imagine? I just imagine like you don't like, and I never do this, everybody, like ever, but like imagine if you like never had the conversation before. You're just someone who's listening to the podcast being like, I want to try it on my partner, and just says it.
No, in every instance of these that we have had, they always discuss it before.
Have to. It's like finger in the butt. You can't just go for it. Consent, everybody.
Do a little scratching above, little tickle above,
be like,
and be like, do you
cool
like
with this? Would you be okay if I...
Yep.
Communication, consent. Okay, guys, that is it for our episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, the phone number is 310-694-0976. And international listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to listen ad-free, where can they listen, Melissa?
They can listen on Stitcher Premium.
Get it. Follow us on socials, Twitter, Instagram. You can also follow the podcast on socials. Hey, check out the new podcast website that I redid recently. It looks so good.
Also, I love my bio that I wrote. I think it's the best thing I've ever written in my life.
It's honestly fantastic, and I need to write my bio a new one because it's fantastic. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Bye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, executive produced by Melissa D. Monts, edited by Katrina Henning, and music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso. If you're feeling anxious, stressed, or overwhelmed, BetterHelp offers online licensed professional counselors who are trained to listen and help. Talk with a counselor in a safe and private online environment at your convenience from wherever you're comfortable. Personally, I love having therapy from the confines of my couch or my bed, and I won't lie, I have been wearing a face mask while I've been going to therapy. You'll fill out a questionnaire to assess your needs and get matched with a counselor in under 48 hours. Everything you share is confidential, and BetterHelp is an affordable option. And our listeners get 10% off your first month with the discount code BLAME. That's betterhelp.com/blame, betterhelp.com/blame.